Oh, hello, hello out there in Caregivers World. Welcome to our evening podcast. I am so excited. I have with me today Dr. J. It's Jestacia Lanette. She is a holistic living coach, if I'm saying that correctly. And for those of you that don't know me, I am Whitney Rochelle. I am one of the admins and the creator of the Caregiver Support Group, where we empower caregivers, we advocate for caregivers, and we try to share tips to make our lives easier. So on today's session, we're going to be just discussing a fairly, I'm going to say it's a simple but complex topic because we're going to be talking about self care and sustainability, how to last on your caregiving journey and take care of yourself, not just mentally, physically, emotionally, but even financially, and just try to, the things that we can do to maintain good health for ourselves. And so, Dr. J, she's going to dive in and share some foundational things with us to get started because as we were talking about this topic when she and I connected, we realized that it is very broad. And so in it being extremely broad, we realized that, hey, maybe we should have a series. So this may be the beginning of a series starting. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. J. I just love her. I love her spirit. The first time that I heard her talk, she had like this, so like this calm, just really calm peace about herself, and she just appeared, on Zoom to be just so unbothered. She was talking chilling, just kind of like eating an apple, and she was just, she was just being her, and she was in her element, and you know all at the same time she was not just being her, but she was also, I will say, ministering to everybody else that was on the line that day. And so it's my honor to share her with you and share her on this platform. So I hope you guys are able to tune in. If you aren't able to watch live, be sure to catch the replay, comment self-care, and any questions that you have, put them on the live, put them on the chat, and we'll be happy to address them on the next episode. Dr. J, it's over to you.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you for having me. And we're going to take baby steps tonight because, as Whitney was saying, it is a broad topic. And you're probably like, where do I start? I'm in the midst of what's happening. But let me tell you where we start. We start with you. So we first want to bring our mind and bodies together. So I want you to center yourself. And this process is called being mindful. So if we need to have a focus point, whether it's your hand, really just kind of look at your hand. When the last time you really just examined and looked at your hand and then bring them together, whether you place your hands here or over your heart, this just simply helps you to balance and bring together mind and body, right? So let's do that and take a deep breath. And you may think, well, I breathe all the time, but do we breathe properly? Most times we're panting, which is from the chest up instead of the chest down. So let's bring our hands together and let's breathe in through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Let's inhale and exhale. Just a really nice deflate. Inhale again and exhale. One last time. Inhale and exhale. Let's remove the tension that just kind of gathers around the neck and the shoulders. So rotate your shoulders back. And all of this is just in an effort to center yourself and forward and pause. And why do we do this? Because most times our minds could be here, but we're already on the other page, or we're at the grocery store, or we're making dinner, or we're on to the next thing. So it's bringing us together. And there's no way we can just jump in without addressing where you are tonight in this moment. So if you don't have it tonight, I'm going to show you what does this look like in order to decompress everything that's happening here and that's in here. It can either clutter and add life, or you may want to declutter because if not, it takes away from you. And what does that mean? I like to do this illustration where if in the middle of the page, you put these two letters and this says me, M E. So if you can't do it now, you can do it later. Circle that and make these little legs that's connected to your circle. In every role, in every hat that you wear, it goes on a line. Okay? It goes on a line here. So if you know, if you're a mom, your spouse, wife, if you work in the home or business, if there's other things that you do, we know caregiver is bigger, but caregiving, and that is a part of what you do. That is not solely who you are. And most times it blends in together that there's no separation. And we have to do that. And that's where that sustainability comes in. It is, you are bound to burn from within if we don't create a clear way of doing that. So if you're already in the midst of it, and if there's questions, I'm not sure, well, you let me know if we will have time to get to questions. But if you're in the midst of everything happening now, I want you to take an assessment of what's happening today, today's date in your life. So the person that you're providing the care for, the needs, and so on and so forth. And there's some needs you cannot delegate, but there's some you can. I mentioned this on the last call to create a well care team. You have to do that. I remember at different times in my life, I was a caregiver for about five different occasions. Okay. The biggest piece of that was around cancer care, but I also had my parents at one point, um, my bonus dad, and putting together a plan. I remember the plan is everything because it can't fall on one person. I mean, you're not a robot. So I'm here to give you the confirmation and affirm you that you're doing the best you can with where you are. Most times we're not giving grace to ourselves. And that may be a word you may need to write on your paper, grace. Give yourselves grace. Um, this is a no judgment zone. Everybody's not meant to actually be a caregiver and a care provider. You just find yourself in these roles. And now you're like, what to do because you stepped up to the plate. So, defining what that looks like and where do you see yourself in the midst of that. So, I'm going to go through my notes and I'll repeat this. If we need to, you can go back. So the first thing that we did is just simply stop and take a breath. Assess where you are in this moment. Make your chart, put the words ME in the midst of that chart and all the little legs of every role that you have to play. In other words, what do you do on a day to day basis? If you need to start from morning and all the way down, where do you see your self care in that? And some of you may have a great plan going, but if not, we want to definitely address it because we can say, all right, for a temporary season, you can do a thing, but it's not meant to carry over to the next season. And I'll say that again. So if it's a temporary season and an assignment and you know it's a purpose, but we do have to have an actual plan, goal in mind. Where are we going? Where's the care plan for mom? What's the care plan for dad? What's the care plan for my child? What's the care plan for my spouse? And put that together. This is the challenge. Let me tell you the biggest challenge. We're actually intertwined. So you're not neutral, you have the heartstrings that's connected, and it makes it very difficult to peel away and say, okay, let me place myself in there. So you will feel the emotions of guilt, or I shouldn't spend too much time. But stats show that the caregiver most times give out before the person that they give care to, because it's just realistic because we're not robots again. So we want to reboot and redefine what it looks like. There's never too late to start. I will give you one free tip. All of this is free, of course, but one free tip that you can start tomorrow. Get out in nature. Go outside. Go outside to simply ground yourself, alkaline the body, just take in air, fresh air. Allow yourself to just absorb and allow nature to absorb and pull what's inside. God has a way of allowing nature to cleanse and purge the mind and the body. And that was by design. So, taking a nice meditative walk, um, having a faith that you can really lean into. We won't have to get into, there's all faiths, but having a way to ground yourself. Groundedness is very important. You have to have a way to ground yourself. I like this Proverbs, and I think it's Proverbs 31:15. It says, she rises early to get instructions for all that she may lead and for those that she leads. So that was one of my favorites because before everyone in the household would wake up, I would have to get up early just to get a sense of myself before I start pouring everywhere. How about this? Pour and water you first. Nourish yourself first. Make sure that you have time to laugh. Find something that just simply brings you joy. Most times we just don't even have a moment of joy, a moment to laugh. So, what makes you laugh? Is if it's your favorite song, get up and move to it. You can do that with a group. You can do that with the person you're caring for. But find a way to tap back into self. What do you like? When I say make a list of 10 things that you like, sometimes we struggle with it because it's been a while since we tapped into it. So let's start with 5 things. What's your top 5? Is it a great cup of coffee? And I'm talking about simple things. Is it a wonderful bubble bath? I remember during my TV days, I would work with so many clients all during the day. I would come in chipper, but by the end of the day, I was dragging, whew, worn out. I'm like, what in the world? Because there's an exchange. All day, there's an exchange. Sometimes you're exchanging positive energy eh, for not so positive. Sometimes it's a little negative. So you have to filter out all of these different emotions during the day that's happening, whether it's from the person you're giving care to or just simply going outside, and make sure you filter what you're watching and taking in. So limit screen time, like know when to tap in and know when to tap out. It's like clocking in, clocking out. I'm going to take a few minutes to clock out. So you may need to build a team that helps you with accountability. And there's nothing wrong with saying, I need a little help. When my mother was caring for my bonus father, she said, still have to work. It's just no way she could wrap her mind around it. And this is very real. So we stepped in. I said, okay, mom, we could do this. I knew what I could budget. I knew what help I needed, and we would go on. And it was so cute because, yes, we had someone to help care for my bonus dad when I was working or my mom was working, and we just tag team, but it didn't wear us down. But then the particular things come in because, of course, he was amazing cook, and didn't really cook that well, but that's okay. She was there and did the best she could. And sometimes you got to know it may not be perfect the way you would do it, but give yourself a pass. You need the help. So you may be able to share a special recipe that your person would like, or you may be able to come in and say, okay, do this, but you're all on the same team and you need a team in order to provide that level of care. When you identify that person, if it's another family member, take the time to step away. That means go into a different room or go out of the home during that time for that specific amount of time. You need it, your brain needs it, your whole body needs it in order to do a reset and realign to what's really important. If not, it's like every day you're showing up and it's a replay. What's that movie? Ferris Bueller was just the same over and over. But so you're going to need to mix it up a bit. Let's move into the next area of that. I don't know if there's questions now, or we are good to go, or we want to pause if there's any questions with what I've said so far.
I don't think we have any questions popping in yet, but we do have some people watching. I
Okay.
just wanted to say too, I love how you broke down, you put that the whole first, I think you did about 5 steps, and you did the simple things. And the simple things are things that, really that is what self-care is
Mhm.
the simple things that we do for ourselves that we sometimes don't even think that, it's become so, some things have become such a routine that we
Yeah.
forget to step away, we forget to center ourselves, we forget to, have that cup of coffee in the morning just to decompress or to get going.
Mhm.
And so when people hear the terminology self-care, I think I spoke to you about this. They often think about, they got to take a vacation. I got to take a
Right.
vacation, or I need money to go to the spa, or I need money to get a massage.
Yeah.
And, self-care can start right where you are. I mean, that is the
Right.
starting place.
Absolutely. And coming from a natural health and beauty background with a spa and medical, there are things you can do at home to create your own spa experience. But before you get to that, you have to address the real day-to-day things because it's about a quality of life. Remember, quality of life. Okay, you deserve it. Everybody deserve it. So if you don't address those foundational issues, a coat of nail polish is not going to help you. Okay, so that might make you feel good on the short term, but how do we create sustainability? This is what we're talking about. Can you really see yourself doing this year in and year out? No, no, no. And I will tell you, if you do not address yourself, then it goes inside the body, and that's the part that breaks down the body. It's called dis-ease, disease. So the reason we want to address ourselves so that we don't break ourselves down. It's not selfish in any way, but we're talking about the fundamentals of self-care before the superficials of self-care. Think about it like this. One of my first jobs was being a flight attendant. We were trained to place your oxygen mask over yourself first before you begin to serve and help others. Well, you have to do that. Today, I was out with my son. He's preparing for college, and I know I have to show up. I cannot delegate this part of my mommy duties. So, showing up means fully showing up. If I didn't have the energy or the capacity, I couldn't show up for him that way. But I knew when we got home, I needed to pour into myself. And I've trained him to be able to pause and do the same. We would take well care days. I believe in taking well care days over sick days. So you have to begin to train yourself to care for yourself. We are trained to after the fact instead of being proactive. I would like to see us more on the side of preventative well-being and well-care, but sometimes we're in crisis mode. So I want to give you the foundational steps because this is how you get out of crisis. Most of us already in whether it's a health crisis, life crisis, handling a crisis for someone else, on the way into a crisis, coming out of a crisis. That's called life, right? The roller coaster of life. Later, in another segment, then we will address which herbs, which foods, like nice meal planning that actually help to boost the body. But before we get there, it's like we have questions because we're already in it. But yes, I am concerned about what you eat. If you prefer a smoothie, do you get enough greens in your body? How are you feeling? Do you have enough energy for the day? Are you resting well? Are you sleeping well? Are you depressed? These are issues and symptoms that the hospitals cannot take care of, but people are there and the hospital is full. And a lot of it are emotional issues unaddressed, embedded issues in the heart as well as in the health. So that is something I want to make sure that we take away from tonight, not to overwhelm anyone with too much, but we can start. And I would just say focus on the top three from tonight that you will do. So I would like for you to comment on the top three, what resonates with you. Because if you could focus on just three, then you would actually obtain your goal. You would do it. There is a Japanese principle called Kaizen. Kaizen is taking very small steps to accomplish large results. So take baby steps. So today I'm going to focus on this for myself because we have a full blown plan for the person we're giving care for. And if you know this, whether you're a mom or a wife, you have a full blown plan for other people. What is the plan for you? So let's focus on your top three self care goals, just your top three. And you may say, okay, I'm going to take a decompressed walk. I'm going to take a meditative walk. I like to take a walk by the water or a nice park. Find that immediately that brings me joy. Immediately. And let me tell you something that's so small. Okay, you guys going to get a laugh out of this. Stickers. I love some cool stickers. But that brings me joy because I'm writing and journaling all the time. So I need a good writing pen and I need great stickers and a good journal. And do you know that that's therapy? That's mental health therapy. That's something you can do on your own. And I have stacks of them that covers just where I am in that moment. So it could be something very, very simple. And then later we'll get to the nail polish and the foot soak and the manicure, pedicure in the bath. So I'm going to give a little bit and then pause a little bit. So you have any questions about anything I said before we add more to that? Because we're layering it.
I don't see any questions. I see some comments. I
Okay.
think I wanted to say something about sustainability because we talked about making realistic goals and having a realistic
Yeah.
care plan. And I want to say to
Yeah.
every caregiver that some of us um, will not be able to sustain on this journey. Some of us, it's not, caregiving is just not your thing. And it's okay.
Right. Okay.
I see that a lot of times that people, they've been thrust into it and they feel the pressure and they just know right off that it's not their thing. It's not, no matter how much patience they may have or lack thereof, that caregiving is just not one of those things that they're cut out for. And I want to
Absolutely.
tell you that it's okay. And I know that that's a concern, and I have been seeing that a lot in a couple inboxes here. So I'm reading some of the inboxes. I guess that they didn't want it to be on this. So it's
Sure.
okay. If you can't, if you feel like that this is just not for you, it just means that we have to find, or you have to find other options for the person that you care for. So whether that's getting
Absolutely.
in, yeah, whether it's getting in another caregiver or, looking at some facilities or different types of
Mhm.
care, adult care homes, whatever it is, if you're caring for a child and you need to find a group home, for them with a disability, all
Mhm.
there are levels to this, and
Absolutely.
everybody just cannot, and it's okay. So there, you shouldn't feel guilty if
Mhm.
your care plan includes, look, I have to find another option.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up because I think the praise report around it is you are present and you are an advocate for that person. Sometimes that is enough. You know, being an advocate and having someone who's an advocate for you just simply means let us take a look at putting together a sustainable plan that works for you, works for me. Because if it's bringing in a third party, you're going to still be present, how you can show up. But the care that we give is only as good as the care that we give to ourselves. So if we're broken down, the care is going to break down because you won't feel it. So remember, you give at your highest level when you are full. You give from the overflow instead of the fumes. And I do know this from working in ministry for years, working with patients for years, and clients, and being a community organizer. You will feel the burn out if there is no plan in place in order to preserve yourself. It's called self preservation. And if there's no plan, just think about it. If your diet was potato chips every single day, just potato chips, just simply chips. Now, you can have kettle chips, you can have whatever chips, but don't you think you need something a little bit more than chips? Absolutely. So we need to bring in the colors. We need to bring in the nourishment. We need to bring in all the things that would help us and know when to detoxify and de-weed our life. And that's the other part, the not so cute part of self-care. Nobody talks about that it is not always easy. It is challenging. If I could just give you a one, two, three plan and say, boom, voila, you are in the world of self care. No, you're going to have to fight for it sometimes. You're going to have to say no sometimes. You're going to have to delegate sometimes. You're going to have to step back sometimes, step forward, move to the side, say, maybe not at this time. I would like to. Your bandwidth and your capacity, there's limits to it as we age. So, what you did in your 20s, you may not do in your 50s, you may not do in your 70, and when you're 60, and respectfully so. We were never meant to full blown do as much as we're doing. That was not in the plan. We complicate things as humans and do a bit much. So, if you are doing too much, that goes back to the beginning of this conversation. Take an assessment, a hard assessment, and align yourself to where you say you want to go. If you don't want to go, then that's fine. You don't even have to think about it, or there's no conversation. But once you get it on path, you get better with it. You get better. You learn how to set those boundaries. You learn how to advocate for yourself. You learn that you are worth it, and you can still love your person. You can still love because you are going to make sure the level of care is still the same. It just may move around and look different. Instead of here, you just placed it here in order to preserve yourself. That is real, true sustainability.
I love that. I love that. So we're coming around to our wrap up time. She gave out a lot of tips, and be sure to watch this replay so that you are able to get them all. So maybe you missed a little part of it, and you just need to go back. So this replay will be available in the group site as well as on the YouTube
Mhm.
um, Caregivers Global. So you'll be able to watch it there as well. Before we close out, I would like for Dr. J just to share with us how each individual can connect with her, share her socials, and anything else she would like you to know as far as connecting.
Yes, absolutely. We will definitely, I can share the links. Perhaps we could share that people can click on whether you're on Facebook. But if not, you can simply email me as well. I am affiliated with a practice, Mayberry Naturopathy. I do have an assistant that schedule all appointments. But if you just simply need to start by asking a question and what's a fit, then I will be that advocate for you to help guide you, whether it's in a personal one on one consultation. And I'll place my email, which is TEAtalk, TEATALK, the initials JJ at gmail.com. So it's ttalkjj at gmail.com. And then we'll place the social links as well. I look forward to chatting with you all and making sure that we put together a sustainable plan for everybody. And I wish you well. You can do this. Just take deep breaths. Let's do this together. Exhale. It will work out. Do the assessment. Take a step back and begin. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.
Just for coming on. And I look forward to us continuing this series. For all of you that have questions, still feel free to inbox them or you can post them on one of these lives and we will get to them in our next chat or even before then. So have a good evening, everyone. And like she said, I love it. You can do this.
Mhm.
Bye.
You can't do this.